Hello everyone, my name is Alex Lovell, and my topic for paper 4 is related to financial literacy at the high school level. One of the sources that I'm using in my paper that will be the journal article that I will analyze through the video presentation is titled Academic Discipline and Personal Finance Instruction in High School, written by Cecilia Lovell and Patty J. Fisher. This journal article presented the research findings based on the results of a survey of 647 respondents, which were teachers who taught financial literacy in their discipline to better understand the effectiveness of financial literacy at the high school level on students. So with that, let's start looking at these features individually to see how they're represented in this journal article. The first one is quotation versus summary and paraphrase. In this journal article, I found that there were very little quotations used, which means that the authors chose to mostly use summary and paraphrasing of sources. An example of very few quotations can be found on page 31. This is a direct quote that can be used by the authors to help the readers better understand what the purpose of financial education is according to Route 10. The authors use paraphrasing as background based on the Beam model in the beginning of the article to give the reader information about the current state of financial education, such that 36 states already mandating financial education set the stage for the idea that is fact of the debated issues among the states. The authors chose not to use block quotations in this particular article. Secondly, illustrations or figures. The authors did use figures to reiterate their findings in the study they conducted through data collected from the responses to the survey they distributed. An example of an effective figure table that was produced can be found on page 26. This example shows how effective it was of the authors to display the results from the surveys in a clean and crisp way. This allows information and results to be understood more clearly by the reader simply because it is presented in an organized manner. Tables were the only figure type that the authors chose in this journal article. Is section headings. This journal article was really enhanced by the author's use of section headings. Section headings were very effective because it really helped I, as a reader, follow the organization of the article more effectively. This article was very organized, and many times there were subsection headings within the section heading to give me even more organizational tiers in the article. This can be seen under the methods section starting on page 17 and continuing through page 22. You can see that the main section heading, which is method, is formatted in bold. Methods is one of the classic divisions of the empirical research article. Then you can see that right below it is a subsection heading, which is formatted in italics to indicate that this is the heading, but contrasted to let the reader know it is not on the same level as methods. This was very effective in helping the reader understand the organizational flow and pattern of the article. Integral or non-integral citations. The author's use of integral and non-integral sources was very mixed, indicating that there was no preference by the authors. An example of integral citations that was effective can be found under the Review of Literature section on page 16. Here the authors were using this source by listing those who the information being used belonged to, and then indicated the year in parentheses as an in-text citations, with the full source being placed in the bibliography at the end. This one is reporting verbs. The author used a variety of supporting verbs in this journal article. An example of one of the supporting verbs used by the author is supported. This can be seen on page 27 under the discussion heading. This verb is used as some of the findings from the survey are linked to some of the research mentioned about financial education. The use of this verb indicated that some of the findings aligned with previous research presented from outside sources. Types and numbers of citations. There were 51 sources used by the author, and most were journal articles, which helped the authors gain credibility from readers. The section that included the most sources included the introduction in the form of background, review of literature as background, and discussion in the form of exhibit and argument. The next one is passive or active voice. There was a combination of passive and active voice used in the journal article, but there was an overall more cases of active voice than passive voice used. An example of a sentence using active voice can be seen on page 18 at the start of Instrument Development subheading. The use of active voice and passive voice is crucial when it comes to how you want the article to flow as it is being read. Lastly, vocabulary and jargon. This article overall had very good vocabulary that built credibility in a way that did not require the reader to be knowledgeable in the subject area, being the world of education in this case. The language consisted of complex sentences that were written in a way that allowed the information being presented to flow as it is being read. Specifically, there was rich vocabulary being used in the methods section, in the particular as the ways of collecting data and research processes was shared with the readers. So I hope that I analyzed this work by the two credited authors. I hope you are able to see how effective this journal article was, giving me some information that can help me argue my thesis statement related to the topic. Thanks for watching.